I first see the words hovering over a video as I'm scrolling through Instagram. We teach life, sir. Maybe you've seen those words too. And next to the words were young Palestinians dancing dabke, a joyous ancient Arab folk dance. And around them, destruction. They danced on, amidst the devastation. Life amongst death. I Googled the words, "We teach life, sir," and I learn of their origin. Maybe you've heard this poem by the poet and activist Rafeef Siadah, a Palestinian spoken word artist and human rights activist based in London. I learned that she wrote this poem, "We teach life, sir," during attacks on Gaza during the winter of 2008 to 2009. These are her words about her work. The poems and music here have been written over several years. 3 wars, 2 sieges, too many borders, many protests and picket lines. She says, "I hope they capture even a glimpse of the love and resilience of many friends and strangers who teach life with steadfast smile every day." In the poem, which I definitely recommend looking up if you're into poetry, she's reflecting on her experience being asked by a reporter, "Miss Siadah, don't you think that everything would be resolved if you would stop teaching so much hatred to your children?" She says, "Pause. I look inside of me for the strength to be patient, but patience is not on the tip of my tongue as bombs drop over Gaza. Patience has escaped me. Pause. Smile. We teach life, sir." So much is loss and devastation, ongoing pandemic, ongoing death and displacement, Sudan, the Congo, Ukraine, Palestine, I don't need to tell you, and attacks on so many here. Immigrants, trans folks, Muslims, Black folks, Indigenous people, federal workers, elders, people with uteruses, the list goes on and on. There is fear, numbness, overwhelm, uncertainty. And so the social media scrolling that I turn to, probably wrongly, for escape instead asks me back, what does it mean amongst so much death and devastation to teach life? I got to go to the Everglades a year ago for the first time. My husband and I were visiting family in southern Florida to get some warm weather and help with our little kid. But that day, it was raining and actually very cold. My brother had bought us tickets to tour the Everglades in an airboat, and we learned that he had bought them from a tour company owned by the Mikazuki tribe, operating on tribal land. I'm quickly distracted from wanting to learn more because now we're on the airboat and there's wind whipping through our clothes, trying to keep a pair of ear protectors on a very wriggly, displeased baby. And by try, I mean totally failing. And it's so loud that I actually don't have a way to communicate to my husband that I'm very much beginning to doubt this chapter of the book entitled, "Nothing is going to change just because we have a kid," right? And this primal feeling of protection is taking over me because I'm now watching alligators feet away from me eye my baby while I eye them back. And amidst all of this, we have a very patient, unruffled guide who pulls the airboat over and tells us the story of the 100 Mikazuki people who refused the Trail of Tears and went south, avoiding genocidal removal, and hid for their lives in the Everglades. He tells us how they won their recognition as a sovereign nation in the 1960s, never having surrendered to the US government. He shows us the raised sleeping platforms that they created to keep their little babies very wisely far from the eyes of alligators. He shows us the medicinal plants that grow right there in the river of grass, as they call it, that can be used to ease pain, heal wounds. So much closer, he says, than driving more than an hour into Miami to go to CVS. We spontaneously decide to just stay there on the reservation for a day when we learn that it's also the annual Mikazuki Indian Arts and Crafts Festival, a celebration of the art, foodways, way of life, and culture of the descendants of those 100 who resisted and survived. We watch a fashion show of traditional and contemporary clothing designs. We watch alligator wrestling, and the commentators share about the roots of the practice, how the skill is passed on generation after generation. Yes, because it's a form of entertainment that brings cash to the community, but also because it's a skill of human and animal. And as the sun sets pink and gold over the beautiful, beautiful lushness of the glades, we eat dinner next to a man wearing a Teach Band history button. And I feel like I am being taught life. Felt like we stumbled on this cold, rainy day into a tiny windows that are really everywhere and that so many of us are part of, into resistance, survival, and continuation of a people, community, practices, language, humor, care, wit, clothes, food, song. Amidst genocide, survival. Amidst assimilation, continuation, and amidst death, life. The other day, I'm back to scrolling again, and I run into the words from Jaya John that we used for our chalice lighting. We who are alive on earth at this time, by virtue of the gift of miraculous life, are ordained to be medicine, to make medicine, to choose healing and liberation for all the suns and moons to come. I think this is what it means to teach life amongst so many death-making institutions. And we who are here in person or on Zoom, somehow, despite it all, have with us that gift of miraculous life. And now, more than ever, we are called to be teachers of life. What does that really mean? It's beautiful, poetic words, but I try to think about what the components of this teaching life are, and I see three. One, I see a refusal to surrender to death. I see humans who may have odds stacked against them 100 Mikazuki 400 years ago who said, no, we're not going. And I'm sure others said, it's foolish and impossible and risky. Surely you will lose. Surely you will die. Palestinian children dancing amidst bombs, and I'm sure others say, it's foolish and impossible and risky, and surely you will lose. Surely you will die. Right now, trans young people and federal workers and people at all levels of government and community taking all kinds of risks to download websites and make sure people can travel with safety. People supporting immigrants, taking risks that I'm not even going to say from the pulpit to try to assure the safety and well-being of all. And others saying, it's foolish, it's impossible, it's risky. Surely you will lose. Surely you will die. But that is one component, a refusal to surrender to death, and a refusal to capitulate to the idea that the survival of one community must mean the death of another. And two, I see a stubborn, persistent passing down of what is good. That fashion show, the patterns of skirts and dresses and coats that the Mikazuki have sewn, innovated, and stored for generations. The dabka folk dance passed down through thousands and thousands of years, learned and taught in times of celebration. This chalice that we light on Sunday mornings, that symbol of aid and escape to Jewish communities during the Holocaust, reminding us to be against anti-Semitism and anti-Muslim violence each and every day. And three, I see a choice to believe in life, no matter how unlikely, because no one hides in the river of grass if they have truly given up. No one dances amidst bombs if they have truly surrendered all futures. And no one does what so many of us are doing today, this week, what we'll do in the coming days and weeks and months and years, because we have not surrendered our future. The words by Sarah Aziza from our reading, "I used to have hope," says the father. And now the daughter asks, "I don't know," he says. "I don't know, but I do know that we will go on." A few months ago about a year ago, was my daughter's very first Lunar New Year Tet celebration. And it always sneaks up on me, a fact that I blame on the lunar calendar, so pesky, changing every year. And a year ago, I had actually just gone back to work full-time, and our household of 4 adults and 3 kids and 1 dog had expanded by an additional 2 adults and 3 kids when we were hosting an immigrant family who'd been sleeping at the airport. And the day of New Year's found me frantically buying Vietnamese sweets and fruit for the altar, driving all over Malden, trying to find the traditional Bang Tet celebratory pork, rice, and mung bean dish. And part of me felt so silly, like she won't remember this. And part of me felt like it was a moment when I had to screw work and sleep deprivation and the true chaos of 6 kids running around the house and pass down what is good. Because those traditions had persisted and passed down through French colonialism, invasion, American war. They had survived and been changed and shaped by generations and generations. And so we took my daughter to a Lunar New Year party hosted by my dear friends, both Chinese American queer people, a party that would have been not recognizable to my grandfather as one celebrating Lunar New Year, and was still exactly the right party for her first Tet. And she wore her adorable tiny ao dai, and she ate way too many dumplings and stir-fried lotus root and bok choy and wood ear mushroom and whole fish and so many oranges, and stayed up way, way past her bedtime. And I put these traditions given to me into her very small, chubby hands. And I thought, we are teaching life. And when I say we are teaching life, I really do mean we, because we cannot teach and we cannot learn alone. I needed Sarah to tell me exactly how to burp my balloon and how to pinch it, and that I was making my snout too long and I would run out of room for a big tail. We cannot teach and we cannot learn alone. And this community, First Parish in Malden, whether you've been part of it for years or are coming for the first time today, is a community of teaching and learning amidst death and devastation. And in this time, when the temptation, at least for me, is to go back to the doom scrolling on the phone, the reminder I have for myself is to be in real community where we teach and learn and remind each other how to be alive. Some of us find that in spiritual communities. Some of us might drop into church, but we really find that on our soccer team or Sangha or with other knitters or other parents, or we're looking for it everywhere we can. But we do need a we to teach life. We are here because we still have the gift of miraculous life, and it's no small thing, especially these days. Let us honor it. Let us remember all of those around us through time and history who have taught life, who know what it looks like to dance dabka amidst bombs, who know what it looks like to pass down Bang Tet on Lunar New Year, to teach life and survive in the river of grass. Let us refuse to surrender to death. Let us pass down all that is good. Let us believe in life and teach it. Amen, and may it be so.